All right, so our last topic in similarity is going to be about overlapping triangles. And I just want to recap a little bit two properties that we've learned in some past units. So in past units, we know that when lines are parallel, corresponding angles are congruent. This helps me. Let's look down at this picture, okay? I have two parallel lines here, okay, and I'm cut by this transversal. That's a very common picture from what we've seen in past units. So I know that these two angles here and here have to be congruent because they're corresponding, okay? So I know that this angle here is congruent to this angle, and then I can also think about the same parallel lines cut by this transversal, which means these corresponding angles will be congruent. All right? So in this set of triangles, in the overlapping triangles, I have two pairs of congruent angles. Okay? Before I fill this in, every time you see triangles that kind of look like this picture, I want you to draw the two triangles separately. Okay? So really what's happening here is that there's two triangles that are lying on top within the same picture, okay? I have this mini triangle up here. So I'm going to draw that mini triangle first. That's DBE. Okay? Remembering that this angle was congruent with two tick marks, and this angle was congruent here. And the side lengths of this were DV was 8, BE was 12, and DE was 10. That's my smaller triangle that I have. Okay? The larger triangle is the entire thing that I see here in green. Okay? So if I draw the larger triangle, the vertices of that are A, B, and C, and let's carry over the measurements that I'm given. I knew that angle A had been congruent there, and that angle C, I had one tick mark as well, okay? And the side lengths, be very careful here. This side length AC is unknown, so I'm going to actually put that as X. This side length, AB, I actually have to do 11 plus 8 to get the full length of 19. So that side length is 19. And then this side length here, I don't know either because it's missing this portion, okay? So I'm going to call this portion Y and say that this entire side length is, add them together, Y plus 12, okay? Now, I've drawn the two triangles separately. I've carried over all my measurements. How does this help me? Because corresponding angles were congruent, we knew that there were two angles in one triangle that were congruent to corresponding angles in the other triangle, which means the triangles are similar by angle-angle similarity. Okay? At this point, you should be able to solve this problem, okay? Because once I know the triangles are similar, I can match up my sides, create proportions, and solve for the missing sides. So I know that 8 is going to go with 19, that 10, the side between my angles here, will go with X, and that 12 will go with Y plus 12. And I can set up my proportions. So my first proportion will be to solve for X. The side that I know is the 8 and the 19. So my ratio 8 over 19 has to equal my ratio 10 to X. Okay? And I can cross multiply. When we cross multiply, we get 8X equals 190. And 190 divided by 8 gets me 23.75. Okay? So that is the length of AC. That's what I had made X. So AC was 23.75. Okay? Let's set up another proportion to solve for y. I know 8 to 19 has to equal 12 to y plus 12. Cross product is the best way to solve this problem, especially when I have an expression like this in the denominator. So let's cross multiply. We're going to do 8 times y plus 12. That's going to equal 19 times 12, which is 228. Okay, I need a little bit of space to solve this, so I'm going to erase some of my work from the old problem. Okay, I'm going to distribute and get 8y plus 96 equals 228. Subtract the 96, and I get 8y equals 132. Divide by 8, and y is going to be 16.5. So the length of EC right here was 16.5. Okay? Now that was a pretty complicated problem. I think we need to do another one to go through the steps again completely. So let's look at example 2. My goal is to determine the length of DS and the length of RT. Right? Let's label the picture first. I see that I have two triangles that are overlapping. Okay? They told me SE is 4. That's this side length here. ET is 12. That's that side length there. SR, that's this full length here. That whole length is 8. And DE, that's this length in here, is 5. Okay? Remember, the first task is let's draw these two triangles separately. So this mini triangle in pink, that is DES. I know DE was 5, ES was 4, and notice I was trying to find the length of DS. I'm going to put X there. Okay? Let's draw the bigger triangle now. The bigger triangle is the vertices R, T, S. The length of RT is unknown. I'm going to put Y there. The length of RS, they gave us this full length, is 8. And the length of ST, be very careful, I have to add these two together. 12 plus 4, that gets me 16. Okay? Now this has turned into a problem that we know how to solve. Okay? Since the triangles are overlapping, I know they're similar, and I can match up the corresponding sides. This is the one time that I say you can go with how it looks. I know that this small side here is going to go with the longer side. So I know 8 is going to go with X, 5 is going to go with Y, and the 4 is going to go with the 16. And I can set up my proportions to solve. So I think it's the bubbles that I drew that I know something. I'm going to actually use my shortcut method here, okay? Because what I noticed is that 4 times 4 is 16, okay? So that means that I can take my other side in this triangle, 5, and do 5 times 4 and get Y. 5 times 4 is 20. So Y, which was RT, is going to equal 20. If that doesn't make sense to you, you can always set up the proportion 4 to 16 equals 5 to Y and use the cross product. You should get to the same answer, okay? But let's use this trick again. This time I have to go in reverse. So instead of multiplying by 4 to go in reverse, I would divide by 4. So 8 divided by 4 is 2. All right, so that means that DS was 2. And again, if that doesn't make sense to you, I could have used the proportion 4 over 16 equals X over 8, and I could have cross-multiplied to get to the same answer. All right? But I am done. let's do one more example because I know that these problems are a little bit complicated. All right. So again, I have two triangles, parallel lines. I know they're similar by angle, angle. Let's label and draw these two triangles separately. So they gave me JI, that's right here. That length is 4. JT, that's this length right here. That length is 10. Notice that's going to help me get the full length of 14 there, right? They gave me IM, that's the long length here. That long length is 28. And then they gave me TM, which is this last side. TM is 24.5. They would like me to find the lengths of IN. IN, I'll put an X there. NM is this length here. I'll put Y there. And JN is this length here. I'll put a Z there. Okay? First step, like always, draw the two triangles separately. So let's draw the first triangle up top. That was JIN. And my side lengths were 4, Z, and X. And now let's draw the bigger triangle. The bigger triangle is TIM. My side lengths are, they gave me 28, they gave me 24.5, and I remember we added together 10 plus 4 to get to 14. That is one step that a lot of you will forget, okay? And now let's match up our sides. Notice Y isn't in my picture, so we're going to talk about that at the end, all right? But 4 is going to go with 14, X goes with 28, and Z goes with 24.5, right? I can't see the scale factor nicely like I did in my other problem, so let's set up the proportions. 4 to 14 equals X to 28, and then let's cross multiply. 14X equals 112. Divide by 14, and I get that X equals 8. So X was representing IN. That means IN is 8. And let's set up another proportion to find my other side. Z. 4 to 14 equals Z to 24.5. And let's cross multiply. 14Z equals 98. Divide by 14. Z equals 7. Z was representing JN, so that means JN equals 7. Now the one part that we still haven't figured out is what is the measure of NM, okay? And we're going to actually have to go back to the original picture to help us out with that. Okay, so the original picture, I knew this entire length here was 28. I'd solve for X. X was 8. So what's left over would be 28 minus 8, and I would get 20 left over. So that means that NM was 20. And I'm done. Okay? These are definitely problems that you are going to want to practice a lot so that you can get in the habit of them. They're going to feel pretty similar once you get a lot of them done. All right? Good luck on your homework and classwork. Have a good day.